Prudence had had enough. She shoved Obinna away from the doorway. He wasn't expecting it. He staggered backwards, lost his balance. He crashed to the marble floor with a loud thud. His eyes went wide in shock. Before he could gather himself, Prudence pounced on him. Years of frustration, humiliation, pain, all of it poured out. Her hands struck him over and over and over as she screamed, "You ruined every business I started. You insulted me. You locked me up like an animal. You cheated on me." Obinna tried to fight back, but she was wild, crying and hitting. All the house workers froze in place. Obinna finally broke free and scrambled to his face red with fury and disbelief. Blood dripped down his face. He did not say another word. He grabbed his car keys, stormed out, and sped off. By evening, a messenger from the village council arrived in a tinted SUV. "The elders want to see you tonight," he said solemnly. Prudence stood at the balcony, watching the sun melt into the horizon. Her hands were still shaking, but she knew this was only the beginning. Prudence grew up in a small town where dreams were often traded for survival. Her father was a school teacher. Her mother sold akara by the roadside. They were poor, but they had dignity. When Obinna came, he came like a savior, tall, dark, and neatly dressed, with a voice that could command a room. He was a successful trader from the east, and everyone in the community spoke highly of him. "This one is a serious man," her father said. "He has sense. He has money." At first, Obinna was charming. He bought small gifts, perfume, a handbag, and even a wrapper for her mother. He spoke of family, of legacy, of building together. She was 24 and full of hope. Their wedding was simple but beautiful. Obinna insisted on a small ceremony. "I don't like noise," he said. "Just our people, no outsiders." She did not mind. She thought it was love. But even during the honeymoon, the cracks began to show. "Where are you going?" he asked when she stood to walk outside the hotel room. "Just to get fresh air," she replied. "You did not tell me," he said flatly. "Next time, ask." She laughed, thinking it was a joke. It was not. 1 week into the marriage, Obinna handed her a list. Obinna's house rules, it read. Number 1, no visitors without permission. Number 2, no phone calls after 8 p.m. Number 3, no trousers or revealing clothes. Number 4, no makeup unless I approve. Number 5, no working unless I say so. Prudence laughed. "Is this serious?" He did not laugh back. "This house must have order," he said. "You are not like other women. You are my wife." She obeyed, at first, but every day felt like a prison. She missed her old life, laughing with her cousins, singing at church, going to the market freely. Now she had to report everything, even when she menstruated. Her spirit began to shrink. Obinna was very rich. The house was a palace. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen fireworks. The marble floors sparkled. She had walk-in closets, imported rugs, and gold-framed mirrors, but no joy, no friends. Even the workers in the house were afraid to laugh too loud. Obinna paid well, but ruled with fear. Every meal had to be ready at a precise time. Every light turned off by 10 p.m. No music unless it was from one of his old high-life CDs. When Prudence asked to start a small business, a boutique, just to keep herself busy, he resisted at first. "Why?" he asked. "Is my money not enough?" "I just want something that's mine," she replied, trying to sound gentle. He eventually gave her the money, a lot of it. She opened Prudence, a sleek fashion store in town. Business boomed. She had customers, smiles, compliments. For the first time in years, she felt like herself again. Then one afternoon, he stormed into the store, angry she had not answered his calls. He shouted at her in front of her staff, flung dresses off the racks, smashed a mannequin, called her ungrateful, told everyone she was nothing without him. He dragged her home, locked her inside. For 2 days he gave her no food. She cried until she couldn't cry anymore. One Thursday, while cleaning out the guest room, Prudence found a receipt, a lease agreement, an apartment rented by Obinna. It wasn't the name that got her, it was the location. She knew that estate. It was for the rich and wealthy. She waited until Sunday, when he left for his usual business lunch, and followed the address. The apartment was modern, sleek, a black SUV parked in front. She knocked. A young woman answered. Pretty, long wig, red nails, short dress. Who are you? The girl asked. Prudence did not answer. Her heart was pounding. Inside, she could see Obinna's slippers, his watch, perceive his perfume. So it was true. She turned around and walked out. Something in her died that day. She did not scream, she did not cry. But her silence had become dangerous. Prudence woke up the morning after catching Obinna in his mistress's apartment. Her hands trembled as she served breakfast, but her eyes burned with fury. For days she said nothing. She watched him closely, how he walked in without guilt, how he picked his teeth arrogantly after meals, how he lounged like the king of the world while she lived like a prisoner in her own home. The confrontation did not come immediately. It built up slowly, painfully. Prudence stopped smiling. She stopped answering Obinna's sarcastic remarks with her usual silence. When he asked for water, she placed the glass hard on the table. A week passed, then another. One evening, Obinna returned home to find Prudence seated in the living room. Her arms were folded, her lips were tight. Obinna, she said calmly, I want to talk to you. He glanced at her, already dismissive. Later, I'm tired. No, now! He looked back sharply. Who are you raising your voice at? Prudence stood. Her heart was galloping in her chest. You think I did not see you, Obinna? You think I don't know where you go every Wednesday and Sunday? I followed you. I saw you. You rented an apartment for your side chick, Obinna. There was silence. Then, a slap. The sound echoed through the hall like thunder. Prudence gasped, her hand flying to her cheek. You dare follow me? Obinna bellowed. You disrespect me like that? He raised his hand again, but she stepped back. Touch me again, Obinna, and I swear. You do what? That night, Obinna did not speak to her. Instead, he ordered the gates locked. He told the maids and the guards she was not allowed to step outside the house, not even to the compound. For a week, Prudence was trapped. Her phone was taken. No visits, no church, no women's meeting. The staff obeyed quietly. They feared Obinna more than they pitied her. On the 8th day, Prudence wore her dress and walked to the main door. Madam, Oga said you are not to go out, the gatekeeper warned gently. I am not his prisoner, she replied. The man did not move. Obinna stepped out from behind the staircase. Where do you think you're going? Out, she said simply. You're not going anywhere. He blocked the door, and that's when it happened. Prudence had had enough. She shoved him away from the doorway. Obinna, not expecting it, stumbled backwards and lost his balance. He crashed to the marble floor with a loud thud. His eyes went wide in shock. Before he could gather himself, Prudence pounced on him. Years of frustration, humiliation, pain, all of it poured out. Her hands struck him, over and over and over as she screamed, You ruined every business I started. You insulted me. You locked me up like an animal. You cheated on me. Obinna tried to fight back, but she was wild, crying and hitting, not with strength, but with frustration and repression. The staff watched stunned. No one moved to help. When Prudence finally stood, breathing heavily, Obina crawled to the corner, his pride shattered more than his bones. That same night, he sent a message to the family elders. She had beaten him. She had brought shame. A family meeting was called. The sitting room of the village chief's mansion was filled with tension. 6 elders sat in a semicircle, their faces carved with wisdom and pride. Obina sat among them, a bandage on his head and arm. His eyes filled with shame or rage. It was hard to tell. Prudence sat opposite on a low stool. She had been driven straight from the city. No time to change. Chief Anozie cleared his throat. "We heard what happened," he said. "No greetings, no questions." "You beat your husband," said another elder, shaking his head. "It is an abomination." She opened her mouth to speak, but Chief Ugo raised a hand. "In our culture, a woman must never raise her hand against her husband, no matter what. It brings curses to the household." But she tried. "Silence!" Obina's uncle barked. "You should be on your knees begging." Prudence clenched her fist. Her knees trembled, not from fear, but from injustice. "I have endured enough," she said. "For years I have kept quiet. This man has humiliated me, hurt me, locked me in, destroyed my businesses, and yes, I pushed him. Out of pain, out of betrayal." Murmurs rose. Obina leaned forward. "She has no respect," he said bitterly. "No shame. I gave her everything." The elders of them all, Painkena, tapped his staff on the floor. The room fell silent. "Whether she is right or wrong," he said slowly, "the gods must be appeased. You must perform the rites." Prudence's jaw clenched. "What rites?" she asked. "You must kneel before him, break an egg on the soil, pour libation, beg the spirits for forgiveness before it's too late." Her heart burned. She had one question in her mind. Would she kneel before injustice or stand and face the storm? The morning after the family meeting, Prudence sat alone in the quiet guest room she had been banished to. The elders did not allow her back to the main house until she agreed to perform the rites. Her eyes were swollen, her lips tight. The list they gave her still sat untouched on the small table beside her bed. Bring a she-goat to Obina's family house. Kneel before her husband and wash his feet in public. Prepare food and serve him before the elders without speaking. Sweep the family compound barefoot at sunrise for 7 days. To the elders, these were the steps towards peace. To Prudence, it was humiliation dressed in culture. She stared at the list until her vision blurred. Then she stood and left the room. In the kitchen, Mama Nene, the elderly cook, watched quietly. "Madam," she said, "I saw how he treated you. But you know our ways." "I know," Prudence whispered. "But the gods they speak of, do they care about justice or just pride?" That evening, Obina strutted into the compound like a wounded lion, wearing a new crown, bandaged arm, dramatic limp, sunglasses to hide the swelling. He greeted the elders with a loud voice, complaining about his pain, his wife's rebellion, and the need to tame her. "She must kneel and beg, or she leaves this marriage in shame," he shouted. But Prudence did not kneel. She stood before the elders again the next day, in a simple dress. "I am willing to do what is right," she said, "but I will not be treated like a dog. I am not an animal. I am a woman. I am a wife, and I deserve dignity." The room fell silent. Obina sneered. "Dignity? You beat your husband. And how many times have you insulted me in front of strangers? Destroyed my businesses, locked me up in the house. Were those not insults to the gods too?" Uncle Arise cleared his throat. "This is not how things are done, Prudence. Then maybe things should change." Gaps filled the air. The boldness in her voice stunned everyone in the room. Obina laughed mockingly. "Change? In whose house? You think because I gave you money for business, you now have power? Foolish woman." Prudence turned to face the elders again. "I will not perform the rites," she said firmly. "But I will leave the house. I will not bring more shame to you people. Let me go where I can think and breathe. Where will you go? I have my hands. I have my mind. That is enough. Without waiting for approval, Prudence walked out. She left the house with a small bag, her Bible, and the little money she had hidden from Obina's grip. The compound was quiet as she passed. None of the workers dared say goodbye, but their eyes followed her with a silent respect. She did not cry. She did not look back. She was no longer the woman who had tiptoed through marriage. She was becoming something stronger. Prudence took refuge in a modest one-room apartment. The room was small and the window faced a noisy street, but for the first time in years, she slept without fear. The next morning, she sat by the window, her Bible on her lap and a notebook. Her phone buzzed with missed calls, but she ignored them all. Instead, she scribbled names and numbers, contacts from former businesses, customers who had once praised her services, and suppliers who had once trusted her. She would start again. With a small loan from a women's cooperative she found online and the last of her savings, Prudence began selling fabrics, not from a shop, she could not afford that, but from the trunk of her borrowed car. Market to market, street to street, home to home, she carried herself with quiet pride and a new kind of confidence. Her name spread again, not as Obina's wife, but as Prudy Fabrics, the woman who could find you the best fabrics at a very good price. 8 months passed. One day, at a women's entrepreneurship seminar, she was asked to share her story. With shaky hands and a brave heart, she stood before a room of strangers. I was once a wife who thought silence was strength, she began. But silence nearly killed me. I broke free, not out of pride but to survive. And today, I build with my hands. I am not bitter, I am better. The applause that followed shook her soul. Very soon, her story went viral. Obina heard about it. He saw her on TV. Her voice clear, her words sharp and calm. His anger grew. "She's trying to disgrace me," he shouted during a family meeting. But even some of the elders had grown quiet. "She did not insult you," Uncle Arinze said. "She simply told the truth." Obina tried to sue her, tried to freeze her small account, tried to smear her name with lies. But the world was watching now, and the more he raged, the more he revealed his guilt. Months turned into a year. Prudence never returned to the mansion. She built a small home. She built a new home, small but beautiful. She adopted a quiet girl whose mother had abandoned her. She named her Chika. Obina remarried twice. Both women left within months. The last one posted a video online, crying and calling him a monster. The man who once ruled with fist and fire now walked alone in his mansion, with servants who no longer feared him. Prudence, on the other hand, stood not just as a woman who survived, but as a woman who transformed pain into purpose.